the sun goes down and the lights are low, there's a place where the real talk flows. Rob and Andrew bringing that spark, unfiltered truths after dark. Talking politics, culture, the state of the scene. No spin, just facts in between. From breaking news to stories untold, these voices come bold and cold. They light up the night, no fear in their eyes. Cut through the noise, expose all the lies. Tune in, buckle up, it's gonna get deep. They're waking up minds while the world's asleep. After dark with Rob and Andrew, speaking the truth like they're born to do. Voices strong, opinions tight, shining in the midnight light. After dark, no holding back. They keep you steady when the world's off track.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to After Dark with Rob and Andrew. I am flying solo tonight. I'm glad that you could join me if you are watching. Wanted to jump on really quick. I won't be here long to just talk about what's happening in Minnesota. I mean, it's a Saturday night here in New York City. It's cold as all get out. I think the temperature right now is at, let's see here. Wow, 14 degrees and it feels like 8. Man, that's cold. So we're sitting here waiting for the snow to fall. It better snow. I mean, I went out and bought a lot of snacks that I could sit up and eat on, watch TV, watch a couple of series. I usually don't watch. Are you guys into watching series on Netflix or Amazon Prime or HBO? I haven't been a fan of watching series. I don't get into it. But lately, there have been some on that haven't been too woke, with all this crazy stuff that they do with the 12 different sexes. And why is it, by the way, that in every show there has to be a gay character, a man-on-man action? Have you guys noticed that? It's never woman on woman. It's always man on man. And it's by design. They're definitely trying to emasculate the man. And when I hear women saying, "Oh, did you watch this show?" There's a show I think on HBO right now. It's a marine show. And I hear all these women walking around talking about, "Oh, have you watched this? Oh, it's so good. It's so this. Oh, I love it, blah, 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 blah." I'm thinking, are you serious? I thought you guys like Lifetime for women. Now it's these shows that are on HBO and Netflix with man-on-man romances. I think even Hallmark had a show this past Christmas. I don't get it. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's all part of indoctrination. And that's not what I'm on tonight. I'm going to talk about that, but I just thought I'd, lead with that since it's, top of mind that it's all cold and I'm inside and waiting for the snow to fall. And I'm hearing that it's supposed to fall around midnight or 1 in the morning. It better fall. We have not had a good snowfall here in New York City, I want to say in 7 years. And I'm not too happy about that. I want snow. I don't like it. Once it has fallen, and then you get the slush, the black slush and all that stuff. Don't like that. I just want the snow to come down. I can run outside, take a couple of pictures and share them with you, put them on Instagram, put them in other places, and you guys can say, "Wow, isn't that nice?" And then I want it gone away. So it better snow so that I can also eat all the snacks that I went out to the store and I was pushing people over to get. No, I was just kidding. I wasn't pushing people over, but there was this one person. No. Actually, in all seriousness, I wanted to come on and talk about the latest shooting in Minnesota and what the hell is happening in Minnesota. Minnesota isn't even a border state. It's cold as all get out right now. Temperatures are in the -8. And you've got people on the streets protesting. Well, they're rioting. They're not protesting. And I don't get it. What's going on? And then you have the governor, Tim Walz, who, by the way, was Kamala Harris's running mate for vice president. This guy could have been the vice president, but God stepped in. Yes, I'm saying it. God stepped in and exposed them, and he and Kamala didn't win. But can you imagine this guy being the vice president? The nutcase that he is, the bumbling idiot that he is, who allowed $9 billion plus to be stolen from the state of Minnesota. Now just let that sit in. This is the same state that gave us George Floyd and Dante Wright. I think it was in the summer of 2021 or 2020. Gave us that. Now fast forward, we have the Somali $9 billion case on our hands. And now you have these radicals, activists, fighting to keep illegals in the state. Minnesota, again, is not a border state. It's not California. It's not Mexico. It's not Arizona. It's not Texas. It's in the middle of America, Great Lakes, cold as all get out. And you actually have people fighting, obstructing justice, obstructing law enforcement from doing their duties and removing criminals, child predators, people who broke the law to get here. Activists that are there. And some of the activists were bussed in, and do not doubt that some of these activists are paid activists. Who else would be out in 8-degree weather, 8-degree weather, to protest, to riot? Not too long ago, we saw these rioters barge into a church during church services and disrupt the services. Now, of course, they arrested 2 of the Black Lives Matter lesbians, women, and another man. And then you had a federal judge to come in, or an appeal court judge to come in and say, you got to let them out of jail. Don Lemon should be arrested. Now, he's hiding behind he's a journalist. And some people will believe it, especially the liberal media. They'll say he is a journalist. No, Don Lemon isn't a journalist. Don Lemon is an activist, just like this appeal court judge who said you need to free those individuals that went inside of a church and disrupted the services, scared the parishioners, scared the children. The judge came in and said, you got to let them go. Go figure. An activist judge, and we see these activist judges all across the country in liberal states or in liberal cities, working against the federal government, saying that you need to free them. We saw this during the George Floyd riots. We saw these activist judges allowing criminals back on the streets after they burned down cities in Minnesota, after they burned down police stations, after they went and attacked police officers, law enforcement officers. You had judges saying, let them out. Go figure. Judges now. Judges who should be impeached. And if the GOP would do its job, these judges would be impeached. I don't even know what John Thune is doing, why he won't go ahead and approve many of President Trump's federal judges. What are they waiting for? You're waiting for Trump to lose the House? And the Republicans will lose the House if we don't get out there and vote. They will lose the House if we listen and allow the Democrats' Political Action Committee, the media, I refer to the media, CNN, Washington Post, and MS Now as their political activists, their political action committee. They're not the press. And I spoke about this on my show on AmericaOutloud.news, that the media is not the press that the Constitution speaks about. The media is a political action committee of the Democrat Party, their propaganda tool. And we need to realize this. And we need to start yelling about it. We need to start pushing back because they need to be stopped, because they are destroying America. They're destroying the country that you and I love so dearly. They're destroying it. So they're the political action committee of the Democrat Party. So when I say PAC, I'm referring to the media. And we saw this played out today when this nurse who was trying to stop law enforcement agents, ICE, from doing their job. You might not agree with ICE, but they're fulfilling their jobs. They're doing their job. We didn't see any of this when Barack Obama, who was known as the deporter-in-chief or chief deporter, one of those, when he was deporting illegal aliens. No one said anything about it. And he deported more illegals than President Bush and Trump combined. Barack Obama, as Senator Obama, even came out and said that we need to secure our borders. Bill Clinton during the 90s said that we need to secure our borders. Nancy Pelosi said we need to secure our borders. The late Dianne Feinstein said we need to seal our borders. Hillary Clinton said the exact same thing. But it was only lip service. That they have all said that we need to secure our borders. Why is it now that they're pushing back on it? Because Donald Trump is doing it. He's actually securing our borders. He closed the borders. We have no more border crossing. After Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas said that there's no problem at the borders, fast forward 4 years later, and we have all of these illegals here in America causing harm. The late Barbara Jordan did a report for Bill Clinton during the 90s, and she even said that being in the United States is not a right, it is a privilege. And by us allowing illegals to come into the country, we are impacting workers, mainly Black workers, because they're coming in, these illegals, and they're taking the jobs that Blacks would take, and then they're taking those jobs with less pay. So isn't it rich when you see Black people on the front lines saying, we want illegals to stay here? Well, go tell that to the Blacks in Chicago, because they're saying something completely different. They're saying we don't want them here because they're destroying our communities. They're taking money away from our schools, from our neighborhoods, and it's destroying our way of life. But you have a governor there, Pritzker, who wants to run for the president, and you have the mayor there, a Black mayor, who's saying, oh, no, let them stay. Brandon Johnson, let them stay. We want the illegals to stay. Destroying the Black community. And Trump is trying to clean this up. So it takes me back to Minnesota, cold Minnesota. People are out trying to stop ICE from doing their jobs. A couple of weeks ago, we saw a woman, a white woman, doing the exact same thing, Renee Good, interfering with ICE agents doing their jobs. She put her life in her own hands. She allowed her so-called girlfriend to egg her on, and then she lost her life after trying to kill an ICE agent. Yes, she was trying to kill the ICE agent. Why wouldn't she just get out of the car when they would get out of her truck or her van when they asked her to get out of it? She put her foot on the gas, hit him, and tried to run him over. The same thing happened today with this nurse. Why wasn't he at home? Why wasn't he at the hospital taking care of patients? Why was he on the streets with a gun? And have you noticed, you don't hear Democrats saying, we need to remove the guns. We need to take away the guns. Gun control. You don't hear them saying it now. Why is that? Why aren't they out talking about the guns? Usually, whenever there's a gun involved, they immediately run to the camera and say, we need to remove the guns, take away the guns, but you don't see that now. Why is that? I submit to you because they don't care. That person was doing something that they wanted that individual to do, which was to cause harm, to harm an ICE agent. Unfortunately, he lost his life. Now, I've seen the video, and I'm sure many of you have seen the videos, and there are going to be many of other videos that are out there. I don't know exactly what took place, but from what I could see, and my humble opinion, the ICE agent was in the right. You don't go out on the streets waving a gun. Yes, you have the right to have a gun. He had the right, had a permit to hold a gun. But why would you bring a gun to a rally, what you call a rally, or a protest, unless you meant to cause harm? And I'm hearing that he took the gun out and was flashing the gun at the ICE agents. They want to go home to their families just like everyone else. Why would you do that? And then they try to jump on top of the ICE agents and fight them. Why would you do that? And if you saw the man, the nurse who did it, you would question, are you serious? You can't fight. What are you trying to do? You're skin and bones. Are you serious? He lost his life. Why? These ICE agents are doing their jobs. And then you have the governor and the mayor saying, well, we need to push back. We need to do this and we need to stand up, as if though they're trying to be instigators. They're saying that they want to have shootouts between ICE and civilians. Well, that's what they got with this nurse. This has got to stop. This has to stop. And I will submit to you again, it's in Minnesota, not a border state. It is a blue state, well, a purple state, with a radical governor and a radical mayor, Jacob Fry, who was seen during the George Floyd era kneeling at the coffin crying. This will not end well. This will not end well at all. You have I think it's the Attorney General in Arizona, who's talking about the right to have guns and to defend yourself. This will not end well at all. This is what these people want. And you have foolish white people who think that they're defending Black lives with their lives, and they're being killed. And you know what's happening? All the folks on Black Lives Matter, they're laughing at you. They're making fun of you, and they're calling you, look at that stupid white person. Another one got killed. Joy Reid, the former MSNBC, now MS Now host, came out and said that white people need to put their bodies on the line because Black people can't do it, because they'll kill Black people. Well, Joy, they just killed a white woman. A white woman just got killed, and a white man just got killed. And you know why? Because they weren't following instructions. And we hear this all the time. Oh, they killed a Black person. They would have never killed a white person. How many of you have heard that? Now you can correctly push back and say, that's a lie. No, we knew it was always a lie, because there have been many white people who weren't following the instructions and tried to get in the way of police officers, and they lost their lives. Now the same thing has happened to these two white individuals, Renee Good and this nurse. They were told to stop. They didn't do it. They wanted to try to push back, fight back, and they lost their lives. So no more of this rhetoric that you only kill Black people, because that's a lie. When you don't obey the law, when you're obstructing justice and you're trying to push back, bad things happen. So I don't want to hear that anymore. So we can just dispel that myth right now. Although I'm sure they're not going to dispel it. They're going to keep it going. But again, white lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. But is it not interesting that it is now these white individuals indoctrinated by the left-wing rhetoric and the pack of the Democratic Party that's causing them to go out and push back and do things that they normally wouldn't do? Look at the church. Don Lemon, he should be arrested. They're going to come after him. He's not a journalist. He's an activist, as well as many of these judges. They're activists. And this will keep happening until these judges decide to uphold the law. Remember the judge in, is it Wisconsin, who allowed an illegal to escape under her watch? They had a trial. She was found guilty. Now she's on her way to jail. The media won't talk about that because they don't want you to know about it. They're hoping that you have forgotten about it. The same way they would not mention to you that Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and many other Democrats have said the exact same thing, that we need to secure our borders, that if illegals come here, we will send them back. Now, all at once, they're saying, let them stay. Well, they want them to stay for one, for the votes. They want them to vote illegally because they want to win elections, Democrats. And then what's happening in Minnesota, of course, Tim Walz wants this. You know why? Because he's hoping it takes the attention off of the $9 billion Somali fraud deal, $9 billion plus. They're hoping that you don't remember that, but we're not going to forget it. I'm not going to let you forget it, because I'm going to talk about it, not only on America Emboldened, but on After Dark on the America Out Loud Talk Radio News Network. We're going to talk about it there. And you can watch it Monday through Wednesday on AmericaOutloud.news. You can catch After Dark with Rob and Andrew. But now I'm going to talk about this situation in Minnesota. Now, I want to call some names out. Because the Democrats, they try to come across as being so sanctimonious, but hardly ever do they mention these names. Laken Riley, Rachel Moran, Jocelyn Nungary, Khadijah Hamilton, Larisha Thompson, Raquel Boris, Megan Boss, and so many other women have lost their lives at the hands of illegal aliens. It has to stop. Why aren't these names mentioned? Why do we keep hearing the names of people? I don't want to say that they're insignificant, but my gosh, these people were killed at the hands of the same people that Democrats are trying to keep here in our country. Remember, they didn't want to pass the Laken Riley Act, the nurse who was killed in Florida. They don't want to pass any of this. They want to support illegals. Keep your hands off our illegals. ICE needs to leave. Jacob Fry said, get the F out of Minnesota. Are you serious? He said this during a press conference. Well, they will get the F out of Minnesota if you release the names of the illegal aliens that are in jail so that we can export them out of the country. And of course, if they try to do it, you'll have an activist judge who will say, oh no, don't send them out. We want them to stay. Stay for what? They're not entitled to be here. And folks, please stop saying that this is a country of immigrants and that you're an immigrant and your ancestors were immigrant. Stop it. That's nonsense. That's BS. You got to stop that. That's what they want you to say. You are an American and you belong here. Let's stop this immigration stuff. I'm tired of it. And you know what else I'm tired of? I'm tired of all these little privileges that we're giving to these so-called Native Americans. How much longer are we going to make them a victim? Okay? How much longer? Their hands aren't so clean. It's time to cut off that spigot, cut off the welfare. We've given them enough, and it's time for them to make it just like everyone else. I'm sick of this. Every country in the world was colonized, people taking over different countries. But as long as we keep putting people on these victimization lists, they'll never get off, and they'll always find a new victim. We've got to stop it. It has to stop. I mean, I am sick and tired of hearing this about Native Americans and even Minnesota. They open up some of their town hall meetings saying, oh, that we're on stolen land. What? Stop. This is ridiculous, folks. We got to be adults here and accept that history is brutal. It's not sanitized. It's dirty. It's bad. But because of history, we have the present and we'll have a future. And what Donald Trump is doing is securing that future by getting rid of all of these illegals who should not be here. You got to go. Well, they didn't break the law. Well, they broke the law when they came here illegally. We didn't give them the papers to come here. They came here trying to sneak in. And then let me cover this story also of the 5-year-old kid that the media is saying, oh, they arrested him. They arrested a 5-year-old boy. Oh my God, isn't it bad? And we heard this story all day Friday, up until the nurse was killed. Then they jumped on this, because this is how they operate. They went from Renee Good, talking about that, constantly talking about it, not wanting to talk about the $9 billion fraud deal, not wanting to talk about the Shirley guy, the reporter who exposed this deal. They don't want to talk about that. Because, of course, they want to demonize him and say, oh, he's not a journalist. He's not a journalist, but Don Lemon is. Yeah, right. Go figure. So all day Friday, they talked about the 5-year-old, that they arrested him. Remember, they did the same thing when Trump first came into office, and they said that Trump had kids in cages, only to find out it was actually Barack Obama. But, oh, Barack Obama, he's a saint. He can't do no wrong. The same Barack Obama who said that illegals got to get out of here, the deporter-in-chief, yeah, that Barack Obama. The Barack Obama who has fantasies about man, I'm not saying anything about it. That's to each his own. The same Barack Obama who allows his wife to emasculate him on a daily basis when she's going on all of these podcasts. Michelle, get a life. You're just a mean girl. But yeah, that Barack Obama. Look at what he did to illegals. But they won't talk about it. At least Trump is telling illegals, If you leave now, we'll give you $1,000 and get you a plane ticket to go back to your country. And if you do what's right, we might allow you to come back here, but the right way. Barack Obama didn't say that. He said, get the hell out and don't come back. But the media or the PAC, they don't want to talk about that. They only want to talk about Trump, and Trump is bad. He's the orange man, and he wants them out of here. And we want ICE out. ICE is doing what they're supposed to do, which is to protect us from these illegals. They don't belong here. They don't have a right to be here. And all these judges that are defending them, shame on you. We should take all these illegals and drop them off in their front yard. That's what we should do. Because they don't belong here. They don't belong here. And in Minnesota, how the hell did they get to Minnesota? Well, I talked about that. I told you how the Somalis got there. Goes back to the 90s when Bill Clinton let them come here. We allowed them to come here, and look at the thanks that they give us. They rob, they steal, and they cheat. And then this Representative Ilhan Omar, they should take her and drag her out and kick her out of the country. She shouldn't be on the Hill. And have you noticed all of these individuals who are naturalized citizens who are going to Congress? This is all by design. Don't be deceived. This is by design, and we better wake up because they're going to take over our great country. They're going to take over our great country and introduce their thought process, introduce their laws, and you have these radical judges who don't give a damn. They don't care. You got to stop it. It has to stop. Now, I want to mention something else, since we're still talking about this 5-year-old kid, that the media, they're just smitten by and saying that all these bad things that happened to them. And it's a big lie. Now, this is what I don't understand. One kid that they're saying that the Trump administration arrested, a big lie. But where was the concern about the 300 children that Joe Biden let come to America and lost them in foster care system? Where was the concern? No one has said anything about those kids. Where was the concern about those kids who were found in California at a ranch being abused? Where's the concern about those kids? Now, we're always hearing about Jeffrey Epstein. We want to know what Jeffrey Epstein did. But what about those kids who were abused? What about the 62,000 children that Homeland Security found that were being abused? What about their abusers? Don't you want to know their names? I mean, seriously. I don't see anyone talking about it. I don't see the PAC talking about it. But they're talking about this one little boy, that what happened is that ICE was arresting the dad. The dad realized it, and then he fled the scene and left the kid. Are you serious? I'm not going to leave my kid. I'm going to say, take me in, but I'm going to take care of my kid. And now you have all these people coming out, mainly white women, indoctrinated left-wing white women saying, oh yeah, we saw the kid and he could have come and stayed with us. And he could. No, you don't want them staying with these liberal white women because they're messed up in the head. They'll tell the kid, oh, by the way, you can be a little girl. They're screwed up in the head. These are the same women that J.D. Vance called out when he was during the presidential race, and he said that they're cat women. He told the truth. You have a lot of white liberal women who are single, or they're leaving their husbands, they're shaving their hair off, they're saying that they're lesbians, or they're bi this or whatever. They'll never have a family, and they're putting themselves at the forefront of a cause if they see it is. They've been indoctrinated. They have been indoctrinated individuals. And when they get in their 70s and 80s, they'll be mad at home with 12 cats, mad because they don't have a family, and no one cares about them. And these are the same women that you'll see marching at the forefront saying, ICE out, down with ICE, kill ICE, multicolored hair, nose rings, bodies are tatted up. Some of them are overweight, some of them aren't. And then they'll say, well, we're not having sex with men. Good, we don't want you to reproduce. Thank God. Men don't want to sleep with you either. These people have been indoctrinated. They have been completely indoctrinated, and it's unfortunate. But we cannot allow them to change or to impact the narrative. We've got to stand up and we've got to be bold. And we have to understand what's going on because they're trying to destroy America. As I mentioned when I opened up, it's 12 degrees here now. And Minnesota is -8. And you have radicals out trying to stop ICE, really. And within that group, you will find these women. Now, I'm hearing today was a different story because you have the men out today. They're beta males, of course. They're beta males. They're not the strong men because strong men don't go out and do silly things like that. They're beta males just like the beta male nurse. Now, I wonder if Al Sharpton, and I said this once before, I don't know if they've had Renee Good's funeral or not. I'm sure they have. It's been like a couple of weeks since she lost her life. You know, lost her life because of her girlfriend or whomever the woman was. But I wondered if Al Sharpton, the Reverend Al Sharpton, was going to do the eulogy. Because, you know, he loves doing eulogies on situations in cases like this when he feels that police have done something they shouldn't have done. He's always at the forefront. And then Ben Crump, the black lawyer, he likes to go out and try to shake people down for money. So I wonder if those two will be present at this nurse's funeral. And have you noticed they haven't come out and said anything? White people, you better wake up. If your life mattered, you better wake the hell up because they're indoctrinating a whole bunch of you, especially in our school systems. And here in New York, did you guys hear that Mayor Mandani, I call him Mayor Mandami, is saying free childcare for kids as early as, I think he said, 1 year old? That's not a good idea, folks. Those are indoctrination centers. They want to get your kids in these schools, and then they're going to indoctrinate them and tell them what they want to tell them their values. And then when your child comes home, your child will be completely confused. Your child won't believe in God. Your child would think that he or she could change their gender. They'll embrace the LGBTQ flag because they'll know nothing about the American flag. You got to be aware as to what they're doing. Got to wake up, folks. One more thing I want to point out before I shut out. Like I said, I'm not going to be here long. They're talking about all these people who lost their lives. And, you know, are you guys familiar with Melissa Hortman? She was a representative who was killed last year. Melissa Hortman, Democrat in Minnesota. She lost her life. And apparently she lost her life, I think, because she voted against either illegal aliens being in the city getting services, or she voted against, I want to say, let me see here. It might have been illegal aliens. I want to say it was about this transgender issue. But in any event, she was a Democrat and she lost her life. She was killed. And the person who killed her used to work for none other than Tim Walz. Now, when she was killed along with her husband and two other political individuals. Now, you probably haven't heard a lot about it because the PAC, and I want to identify them again, the Democrats Political Action Committee, the media won't talk about it. Now, when they were initially killed, the media was running with the story because they wanted to say that a MAGA person did it. Someone from the right killed them. But the moment they found out that the person who killed them, Melissa Horton, was a Democrat who worked for Tim Walz, they dropped the story like a hot potato, did not want to cover it. Why is that? And you know what else they didn't mention? Gun control. Did they mention gun control with this nurse? Nope, not talking about it. Like I mentioned to you in Arizona, you got this attorney general who's saying that people should be able to carry their guns. Stand your ground, that's it, stand your ground, it's a stand your ground state, and people should be able to carry their guns. And she said, and if someone comes up to you, you don't know who they are, I mean, you have a right to defend yourselves. Signaling that you should go after ICE agents and kill them. But they won't say anything about gun control now. But going back to Melissa Hortman, look her up. Look her up. You would be surprised. A Democrat lost her life in 2025, and no one is talking about it. But they're talking about Renee Good. Why aren't they talking about Melissa Hortman? What's the connection between Melissa Hortman and Tim Walz and the guy, the alleged killer, who said that Tim Walz put him up to it? I don't know if that's true. It's allegedly. But why isn't the media covering that story? Why are they silent? You know why they're silent. You know why they're silent. I know why they're silent. They're the Democrats' Political Action Committee. They're the Democrats' propaganda arm. And anything that's negative, that's going to make the Democrats look negative, they will not cover it. And that's the reason why. We have to be in tuned and aware of what the media is doing. They don't mean us any good. And although they'd like to stand up and say, well, we're mentioned in the Constitution, we're one of the only professions that's mentioned in the Constitution, the free press, and how Congress cannot infringe on us, they can't make laws to stop us. Well, you're right, they can't. And that's for a free press. But when you're acting or operating as a political arm, political action committee of the Democrat Party, you're not the press. You're not the media, as Don Lemon is trying to say that he is. No, you're not. Come on, you're not. You're not even an independent journalist. You are a propaganda machine. I am an independent journalist. I report the news. I don't go around and take sides and say, oh, well, you're this. No, no, no. Don Lemon, CNN, MS Now, Washington Post, New York Times. They are political machines for the Democrat Party, a political action committee. And that is the reason why you don't hear the story about Miss Hortman. That is the reason why you don't hear the names of Laken Riley, Rachel Moran, Jocelyn Nungary, Khadijah Hamilton, Larisha Thompson, Raquel Burrows, and Megan Boss. And there was another Thompson, I think her name was Latasha Thompson, who was killed just recently, a black woman. Larisha and Khadijah, and I think Latasha Thompson, all black. Why hasn't Joy Reid mentioned their names on her show? Why hasn't she said that they were killed? I will tell you why. Because they were killed at the hands of illegal aliens. And they don't want you to know that. They refuse to talk about it. But what you bet, had they been killed by a black man or a white woman, they would be talking about them right now. But because the perp was not the boogeyman that they claim it to be, they're not going to talk about it. They could care less about them. Then they want to talk about Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. And you know who knows that better than anyone? President Donald Trump. Look at the way he cleaned up Washington, D.C. with the National Guards. Cleaned it up. Cleaned up Memphis, Tennessee. He wants to clean up Chicago. But you got the mayor saying, don't come here, leave our crime alone. And what you bet over the weekend, you will see dozens of blacks losing their lives. Because black lives don't matter when you're trying to stop the violence. But in D.C., the people are saying, thank God. The same thing happened in New York City when Mayor Giuliani was the mayor. He went into the black neighborhoods where all the crime was. Let's just be honest. Yes, there's white crime. Okay. Because someone would say, yeah, but you got to look at the numbers. You got white people committing crime. Yeah, we know that. But let's look at the black community that's suffering. He cleaned it up. And they were appreciative. The same way black people are appreciative of Trump cleaning up the crimes in their neighborhoods. And he's trying to do the same thing in Minnesota by removing the illegal aliens. Don't go tell me about undocumented and undocumented immigrants. Oh, no, the Constitution does not talk about undocumented immigrants. They're illegal aliens. And someone say, oh, well, that doesn't sound nice. Well, it doesn't look nice, and it's not nice when you come to our country illegally. But see, they want to dress it up. They want to make it look nice. Undocumented, they're undocumented. You're here illegally. Get used to it. If you don't want us using the term, then don't come here. Go home. I say that all the time to Ilhan Omar. Go home. Make your own country better. It's very rich when you have these illegals coming here, poo-pooing on America and telling us how we should be. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Go back to your own country and straighten your own country out before you start coming here trying to tell us. And remember, we're supposed to be so racist. So why do you keep coming here if we're so racist? Why do you keep crossing the border if we're so racist? You want to chase that racism? Yeah, I guess so. But there's nothing, when you think about it, when you stop and think about the Democrats and the lies that they tell, along with their pack, they contradict themselves. They contradict themselves all the time. They say that America is racist, yet still they want illegals to come here. For what? To taste that racism? Make sense of it. None of it makes sense. So that's all I have for tonight. Like I said, I wasn't going to be on long, but I wanted to come. I actually on a lot longer than what I had anticipated. But I wanted to come on and give my thoughts about this killing of this nurse, who, in my opinion, is in the wrong. Should have been at home at work. Should have been at home resting. You're a nurse. And why would you come out with your gun? Yeah, you have a permit to have the gun, but why would you come out and waving the gun at ICE agents? I mean, that's something that no one wants to talk about. And then you have the governor, you have the mayor, you have Amy Klobuchar coming out saying we want to get ICE out of here. They want to defund ICE. I'm thinking, what? These are the same people who wanted to defund the police during the George Floyd. Now defund ICE. They don't want ICE to do its job and remove illegals. I mean, we're a country of laws. Why do you want to have illegals here creating chaos? And it's only the Democrats, the same Democrats who at one point were all on the same page. But now, because Trump is cleaning it up, they don't want it. I mean, look at all the illegals that they've been trying to keep here. Remember the Khalid Muhammad guy. The judge just said that the Trump's administration couldn't get him out of the country. And I'm like, get him out now before they change their mind, before another liberal judge, activist judge comes in and say, oh no, he's got to stay. We've got too many people here that shouldn't be here. And I think that the Trump administration is being more than generous in saying, we will help you get back home. We will give you $1,000. And that's a lot of money when they're going back to their home country. And not only that, we will allow you to come back here, but you've got to do it the right way. What is wrong with that? That doesn't make you a racist when you say that. It shows that you want to be fair. But you have so many people who've been indoctrinated, like this nurse, like Renee, who want to stand in the way of law enforcement agents and lose their lives. Why? Because Joy Reid told you to put your body out there? Because the governor and the mayor said you got to push back? That's wrong. They should be arrested. But they should sue the governor and the mayor for the death of these individuals because they were indoctrinated. And this isn't insurrection. All those folks on Jan 6 saying there was an insurrection. No, this is an insurrection, and you've got people going against law enforcement agents. And to me, it's treason. I know it's a big stretch, but I mean, you've got people openly saying, don't obey the law. Are you serious? And then you've got these crazy indoctrinated white people who are just throwing their lives out there as if though their lives don't matter. And like I told you, black people are laughing at you, especially Joy Reid. She's probably right now with a glass of wine laughing, saying, another white person lost his life listening to me. We don't care. I mean, come on, wake up. Wake up. Stop doing foolish things. Stop impeding the law enforcement agents. We as Americans, we've got to stand up and we've got to protect ICE because they're protecting us. And we've got to start calling out people like these radical activist judges and these radical politicians. Minnesota, a cold state in the middle of America with illegals that they're trying to protect. And folks, you got to think about it. You have ICE agents in other states. They're kicking people out without incident. Why is it only in Minnesota that we're having problems? We're having problems because it is by design to take away the attention from the $9 billion Somali fraud. They want to take away that attention. Governor Tim Walz does not want you to see that. He should resign. If he were to resign, all of these problems would go away. We wouldn't have this. But just all at once, this is going to spare up. Folks, there's something here. Think about it. There's something that's going on, and it's not right. And it's Jacob Fry, and it's Governor Tim Walz, and Amy Klobuchar, and all these other politicians, Democrat politicians, along with their pack, that are creating drama, creating chaos. This should not be happening. It should not be happening. This is wrong. But they want it to happen because they're thinking that this is going to help them out during the midterms elections. We got to prove them wrong. We've got to get out there, and we've got to make certain that the GOP keeps the House and the Senate, because they're hoping that if they get there, they're going to defund ICE, as they always do, and it would be complete chaos. We will not have a country. Folks, that's all that I have. Thank you for tuning in. Still hasn't started snowing here in New York City, but I'm sure it'll start hopefully by midnight. And it better snow, like I said, because I want to eat all those snacks that I went out and got. I didn't get a lot of snacks. Just got apples, oranges. I try to eat healthy. But anyway, I want to eat them all. So I want that snow to come down, and I want to be able to go out and take pictures and share the pictures with you. So thank you for tuning in to After Dark on the American Emboldened Network. I want to thank Greg for allowing me to have this opportunity. We'll be back on soon. I'll hopefully be back with my co-host, Andrew, as well as Heather Robinson, who's a contributor for the New York Post. So until next time, be safe, be informed, get out there and vote, and don't allow the Democrats' Political Action Committee, the news media, to sway you from what you know to be true. Thank you and good night.
After Dark with Rob and Andrew, speaking the truth like they're born to do. Voices strong, opinions tight, shouting in the midnight light. After dark, no holding back. They keep you steady when the world's off track.